Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, everybody. I got some really good information to share with y'all today. I'm going to let more people get on here and get to joining us. Um, but I am excited about what I have to share, y'all. Welcome. Come on in. We are giving God all the glory today and every day. But today I give God the glory for the gifts of being able to create generational wealth for my family. Today I give God the glory for the gift of knowledge. I give God glory for the gift of courage because it truly does take courage to break the cycle of generational poverty. It truly does take courage to break the cycle of generational mediocrity. It truly does take courage to do something different for your children, something that may not have necessarily been instilled in you. It takes courage to just be okay with being set apart. Like it's crazy when you grow up a certain way and you constantly talk about wealth, you constantly talk about success. It's crazy to a lot of people because you don't necessarily see that around you, right? You don't grow up around it. You don't know a lot of people that are very well off. You don't know a lot of people that are building generational wealth. But when I tell y'all, like, I praise God for the vision. I praise God for giving me a vision, even when I was a little girl growing up in one of the roughest neighborhoods. Like, I still always saw myself not staying there. I always saw myself having more. I always saw myself being successful. I always saw something different for me and my family. So I'm super excited to welcome you guys, y'all, because I want to share how our oldest son, who just turned 5, has enough money in his investment accounts to put a down payment on a rental property if he wants to. Okay. He has more than enough money to put a down payment on a rental property. He has more than enough money to pay for a year of college tuition and still have some left over. Like, this is a 5-year old. And can I tell y'all that we did not even start his investment accounts when he first was born? So I'm talking about he has this amount of money, and he has this amount of money probably just from like the last maybe about 3 years of having an investment account, or having multiple investment accounts. So I'm going to let more people come on in here, and then I'm going to share a lot of these details, you guys. We have a 3-year old and expecting baby number 2. We are a little behind. So we actually started our oldest son. We did not start his first investment account until he was 2.5 years old. So I'm here to tell you that if you didn't start before, please don't get discouraged and feel like, oh my goodness, I missed out on so much time. Like, yes, you missed out on a little bit of time because in compound interest, when it comes to investing, every day that you wait costs you, right? But the next best time to start is now. So I'm proud of you for getting on here and getting this information, because again, the next best time to start is now. So let me just make sure I got my little notes together. I'm gonna give more people um, a chance to get on here. How are you guys feeling today? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's almost afternoon where most of you guys are, but it's still very much morning for us here in Texas. I'm so thankful to see the sun shining, y'all. It was a whole tornado yesterday. It literally took me to pick up our son from school. It took me maybe an hour and 10 minutes going, and it took me like an hour and 30 minutes coming back. Then we had to run to the grocery store in between time because I needed a couple things for dinner. Um, Went in the grocery store, everything was fine. It wasn't no rain. Came back, it was like raining, like, oh my God. It was like a whole like tsunami outside. I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it was very interesting. It's been raining here the last 5 days. It's crazy. It is crazy, y'all. It's like when we do get rain here in Dallas, because it's not often. But it does that too, where it's something that is like over the course of days. It's never just like a 1 day type of thing. It's wild. Oh, people are sending me happy anniversary emails. Thank you. Okay, let's get started so that I don't take up more time from my anniversary. I was trying to wait and see if more people would get on here, but we're going to go ahead and start because I got quite a few things that I want to share with you guys. So, first and foremost, congratulations for joining this live. Okay, that's first and foremost. Thank y'all so much. I have a ton of stuff to do when I get off of here so that I could spend some time with my husband. We had a showing at our house this morning, like really early. So I had to kind of like spend a lot of time rushing and getting stuff together this morning. But I'm thankful that God gave me the grace to get on this live because this is very important information that I don't want you guys to miss out on. So I want to share 5 things that we did. So I decided to stick with 5 for multiple reasons. Okay. So 5 is actually like low key, like my favorite number. And before y'all get it twisted, no, I'm not into no numerology or whatever that is. I'm not into no angel numbers. Like 5 is my favorite number because our anniversary is on November 5th. And my birthday is on August the 5th. So it just be a lot of fives going on. We had our wedding. We went to the courthouse on November 5th and got married, but then we had like a wedding for our friends and family on May the 5th. So got a lot of fives going on in my life. And I felt like it would be great to title this 5 things that we did for our 5-year-old and his investments because he just turned 5. So, again, a lot of different, fives going on. Okay. Shout out to the fives. Shout out to Brandon for the December 5th birthday. It's something about the fifth of the month. Okay. So we're going to get to it. Again, I want to share with y'all 5 things that we did to get our 5-year-old's investment account to the point where he could get his first rental property if he wanted to. He could pay for his first year of college tuition, all of the things, right? So the number one thing, and these are in no particular order, I'm just, counting. The first thing is getting outside of our comfort zone to learn about investing. I shared with y'all, if you weren't here before I really got started, if you weren't here in the beginning, what I said was that I didn't grow up in an environment where generational wealth was talked about. I didn't grow up in, and let me just be clear because my mother and father might see this. I am not saying that I grew up poor. I am not saying that I grew up eating sugar sandwiches. Okay. Like I grew up in a blessed household. We ain't never was wanting for no food, and no, like I definitely grew up blessed. We had the things that we needed, but oftentimes after we had the things that we needed, it wasn't a whole lot left over. So it wasn't really necessarily a lot left over to start talking about generational wealth. And I don't think that that was really something that my parents truly understood. I think that growing up, I would hear about generational wealth by way of like people being a landlord, but that was kind of the only thing, like people getting rental properties and, that type of thing. We don't have any rental properties as of yet, and we are still building generational wealth for our children. So when you get that knowledge, it's a blessing because it makes you hip to multiple ways that you can build generational wealth, right? I am here to tell you guys, and this is one of the things that I'm going to be teaching about at the Proverbs 1322 experience. Meet me in Dallas, December the 9th through the 11th at the Proverbs 1322 experience, where nobody is walking away without a generational wealth plan that will last at least for the next 2 generations. Okay. So I got hit, like once I got the knowledge to understanding that there's multiple ways to build generational wealth. And one of the biggest mistakes that people make with building generational wealth is that because they don't have the knowledge surrounding it, they think that generational wealth is just one dimensional. They think, oh, I got to be a landlord. I have to buy 10 properties. I got to buy a house and I got to flip it. But a lot of times, being a real estate investor, that takes a little bit more capital. And so what ends up happening is people are waiting until they get the perfect credit score so that they could get financing, or people are waiting until they get this, people are waiting until they get that. When you could have been starting your generational wealth way sooner, even without investing in real estate. Again, we are building our son's generational wealth and we do not own any rental properties as of yet. So I need y'all to write that down. The first thing is you have to obtain the knowledge that it takes to know about generational wealth. You have to obtain the knowledge to really figure out, and I'll talk about this a little bit later in this training session. But you have to figure out, like, you got to learn the knowledge so that you can see what works for you and your family, because every family is different, right? Like, I can't just sit up here and say, okay, like, this is exactly what worked for us. And then your financial situation might be different. Your resources, might be a little bit different. And that's why I'm excited about the Proverbs 13:22 experience, because even if you only have $5 to invest in building generational wealth, you are still walking away with a plan. This is not a situation where you got to make six figures to build generational wealth. This is not a situation where you got to be a millionaire. And that's another mistake. People feel like, if I don't make all this money yet, then that means that I'm not ready to build generational wealth. And that's the error that has been passed down from generation to generation. Like, a lot of people in our parents' generation, they felt like, well, I don't have enough money. I don't. If you got $5, okay, even if you got $1, you have enough money to start building generational wealth for your family. It starts little by little, and you let that compound interest cook, y'all. Okay. Somebody type, let the compound interest cook. It literally starts little by little, and you let that compound interest cook. I don't have a compound interest calculator pulled up in front of me right now, but I could tell you that what is $20 today, like, it is $20 today invested, is going to be way more in 10 years. It's going to be way more in 15 years. It's going to be way more in 20 years. And that's why when it comes to building generational wealth, time is like your best friend, y'all. Like, that's why this is so urgent. That's why this Proverbs 13:22 experience is so important to me, because stop waiting until your kids are 16 and 17 years old and trying to build generational wealth for them. Now, if you have older children, it's not too late. I still have some strategies that you could utilize for those of you that have older children, but you want to get on this as quickly as possible. Like, we got to stop leaving our children with debt and leaving everybody to get it out the mud. Like, you got to build generational wealth. You have to step outside of your comfort zone and get that knowledge. It's not enough to just say, nobody taught me this. It's not enough for it to be 2024 and you still blaming lack of generational wealth on slavery from 4 years ago. Now, I'm not saying that time wasn't stolen from us due to slavery, because it was, but what I need you guys to understand is that we can't pass down excuses. Okay? Like, your kids cannot get an investment property and deposit an excuse. Your kids cannot be debt free and deposit excuses. It doesn't work like that. So somebody got to break the cycle. Somebody has to make it be a situation where it's execution over excuses. It's literally that simple. So, number one, getting outside of your comfort zone to learn about generational wealth. Number two, consistent investing. Okay, consistent investing. Consistent investing. Don't be one of those people that you open up an investment account for your kids, whether it be a 529 account, whether it be a UPMA account, whether it be whatever it is. Don't be one of those people that open up an investment account for your kids and you put $100 in there and then you never put anything else in there. I think that when it comes to consistent investing, the key to being successful at consistent investing for your children is to, one, automate your investments into their account. And then number two, automate an amount that you feel comfortable with at this moment. I think a lot of people make the mistake with building generational wealth for their children, and they feel like, well, I want to make sure I could put $500 a month in there. I want to put 1,000 a month in there. I want to put this much. And it's nothing wrong with being ambitious, but what you don't want to do is set this goal of putting $1,000 a month in there, and on the months that you can't put $1,000, you can't put anything. You don't put anything. So to me, the strategy that we have taken with investing for our children is that we've worked our way up. Like we started by just doing $12.50 a week. $12.50 a week literally adds up to $50 a month. Then from there, we moved up. Then from there, we moved up. Then from like you want to just move up as you go along, as you start making more money. Now, of course, there's times where you can put a surplus, like an extra amount into their investment accounts. Like we obviously put extra if we see a significant spike in our income, because of course with both me and my husband being entrepreneurs, our income, it's very rare that like every single month our income is like exactly the same as it was the last month and the month before that. So if we see a spike, we're putting more in their investment accounts. On birthdays, we're putting more in their investment accounts. On Christmas, we're putting more in their investment accounts. If it's something like a holiday, like neither one of them have like had any graduations yet, because they're both obviously still really young, but something like that, we're going to put extra. We are also, like, when it's their birthdays, inviting family members, like we're sharing the link to one of their accounts and inviting family members to basically contribute, to the account. So it is definitely consistent investing that has made a big difference on how much money his investment account has been able to accumulate in such a small amount of time. I told y'all we literally just started his investment account when he was 2.5 years old. He just turned 5 last week. So that's letting you know that the account is still, very much considered an account in its infancy. So that leads me to my next point, which is number 3. You want to make sure that you have an investing plan that works for you and your family, not just in terms of how much you are investing, but you want to make sure that your investments are actually growing. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't just sit up here and be like, I'm going to open up a 529 account because everybody is saying. Me personally, I'm going to just say it, I'm not the biggest fan of 529 accounts. And I'm going to tell y'all why. So 529 accounts were initially created to assist people with like saving for their children for college. Now they have changed a little bit in the last like 5 years. They've changed the rules. I should be more specific. They've changed the rules a little bit in the last 5 years to allow for a bit more flexibility. But I don't like that 529 accounts have a lot of different rules. Prime example. So here in the state of Texas, and this is going to vary depending on what state you live in. So I'm gonna use two examples. I'm gonna use Maryland because that's my home state, and then I'm gonna use Texas because that's where I live at now. So in the state of Maryland, you do get some tax benefits for contributing to a 529 account. So if you live in the state of Maryland and you are like an entrepreneur that needs additional tax breaks, I would recommend it. Another really good thing about, I don't know if it's just Maryland or if it's every state that gives you the tax incentives for the 529. And some of this information might change. So FYI disclaimer, if you see this video on YouTube like 5 years from now, don't be getting on here talking about she don't know what she's talking about, because these rules change all the time. I'm stating what the rules are for November 5th, 2024. Okay. So if you're in the state of Maryland, I think that it's structured where let's say that the grandparents are contributing to the 529 account. What the grandparents are contributing to the 529 account does not go against you if you are filing for FAFSA. Whereas though, if what the parents are contributing, I do think that that factors in. So that is a really good loophole in the state of Maryland. If you do have a 529 account and you're like, but Raven, I still, want my kids to be able to get help from the FAFSA or whatever, like you might want to look into having the grandparents contribute versus, having you contribute. Whereas though in the state of Texas, we do not have any state income tax in Texas. So Texas is like, we ain't finna give y'all no breaks, for no 529, and y'all already don't pay state income tax. So that's one thing that I don't really like about the 529 account as a Texan. Another thing that I'm not a big fan of with the 529 accounts, and I believe that this is just at some brokerages. I don't know that it's every brokerage. So don't quote me on this. Like this could really be just the brokerage that we have the 529 at for our son. Now, when we set up his 529 account, we went with the brokerage company that's connected with the main bank that we use. And we did that because we felt like, oh, this would be easy. We can just, smoothly transfer the money over. Like it was easy. But what I did not like with this particular brokerage is that for their 529 accounts, you don't get to pick the investments. As a person that is financially savvy and investor savvy like myself, I don't really want you picking my investments because what you finna pick? Like what you doing? Now they do give you like options like where you could say like, oh, I want to, pick from this category. I want to pick, but I don't really like that. Like I don't like that it is so many rules with it. And because there's so many rules with it, when we would check our son's investment accounts, all the ones where I was picking the investments, they would be way up, but that 529 account, it would just kind of be like this. Like it's up a little bit, but it ain't really moving up for real. And I know that that's because y'all are not really picking the best investments. Another reason that I'm not a big fan of 529s is that a lot of states have been having controversy with the 529s in the last few years. I don't know what that's about, but I would say look it up in your state. Now, let me kind of like finalize my thoughts on here because I don't want anybody getting confused regarding how I feel about the 529. I am not saying that the 529 account is a bad investment. But I do think that it is a bad investment if it is the only account that your children have. I think that at the very least, I think that your children should have a UTMA account. I call it UTMA, like for short. But the UTMA account, I think that stands for like something transfers to minors act, something like that is what the letters stand for. But what I like about the UTMA account versus the 529 account is that I've never seen a UTMA account where you couldn't pick your own investment. So I love that it's more flexibility there. Another thing that I really like about the UTMA account is that there are no stipulations for what that money can be used for. That okay, uniform. Thank you. There's no stipulations for what that money can be used for the UTMA account, y'all. With the 529 account, they have just recently changed the rules where it doesn't have to just go to college. Like you're able to use money from your 529 account for school tuition, even if it's like K through 5, if it's middle school, if it's high school. So that's a good thing. And I like that because what if everybody don't want to go to college? You know what I'm saying? Like, so now you didn't only put this money into a 529 account and your child doesn't want to go to college, or better yet, your child has gotten this full ride scholarship to college for athletics or for academics. And now you want to take the money out of the 529 account and they trying to penalize you. I don't like that because what do you mean giving me rules for my money? Like, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan. So those are my thoughts on a 529 account. Again, I'm not saying that it is a bad account. I just think that at minimum, every child should have a UTMA account. Now, I'm not going to spill all the tea here, but at the Proverbs 13:22 experience, I will be listing out all of the investment accounts that our son has because the money that he has invested, This is literally across all of his different accounts. Right now, he has one, two, three, four. Right now, he has four investment accounts, and we're getting ready to open up a fifth one now that he is five. Again, right now he has four investment accounts, and we're getting ready to open up a fifth one now that he is 5 years old. So you want to make sure, let me pull back up my notes, I don't want to forget nothing. So again, you want to make sure that you have an investing plan that works for you and your family. Let's say that you have a son, and your son is like 8 years old, and your son is just like this prodigy. Like, I'm talking about, like, everybody is talking about how great your son plays football. Like, everybody's praising, his ability. You got people already asking about him. Like, you may want to think about the possibility that your son could potentially get a full scholarship, to go to college on an athletic ride, right? So this is not to say that setting up a 529 is a bad thing, because it could still go towards books. Like, it could still go towards things, right? But you just want to be very clear that I'm saying that I don't believe that that is the only investment account that you should have set up for your children. I think that that is a very old school way of thinking. Another thing that we got to consider is that people's mindset is changing towards college. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. And this is coming from the standpoint of a person that I have 2 degrees. You know what I'm saying? I have an undergraduate degree and I have an MBA. But I noticed that people's mindset is changing towards higher education. You got people that are making millions from a trade. I just saw something a couple days ago, and they talked about how the next class of millionaires is not people that have these elite degrees, it's people that have an elite trade, it's people that are electricians, it's people that are plumbers, it's people that are in HVAC, it's people, that are contractors. Like, so again, I just do not think that it's smart to only have this one account set up, because that's like you're putting all your eggs in one basket and just saying, like, I know that my child is going to want to go to college. Like, no. Now, when you want to put a lot of money in the 529 is when you know that you got a child that's like, I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a doctor, because baby, they finna be in school. Like, they got to go to undergrad. They got to go, to law school, medical school. Like, that they're going to probably have like an expensive tab, with their tuition. But personally, for our family, the 529 account is the money that, or that's the account that we put the least amount of money in. um Both my son's parents are entrepreneurs. Like, 9 times out of 10, and I'm not forcing nothing on our kids, because if they say, mommy, daddy, we want to just work for a company, like, I'm gonna support what they want to do. But you got to understand, they ain't seen nobody have no 9 to 5 up in here. So they're getting introduced to something that is very much different than what, we were introduced to growing up. So I love that they have multiple accounts, because if, one of our kids says at like 17, like, I want to start this business, I want to do this, I love that they have investment accounts that can fund that. Okay. So multiple investment accounts, please. Please do not just go and set up a 529 account and think you don't. I'm not gonna say and think you doing something, because that's kind of rude, because you are doing something, but I just, I want you to do a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? So number 4 way that we have built or successfully built generational wealth for him at 5 years old is by not okay, not constantly checking the investment accounts. Can we just talk about this, y'all? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how, when we first opened our son's investment accounts, I used to check them every day. Are they growing? What's going on? What's happening? Is this going, like, I used to check these accounts every single day. Like, you could not tell me nothing. Like, you couldn't tell me. I was checking these. Let me see what they doing. Let me see, like, this on the phone. Let me see how they went up. Let me see what this investment doing today. Let me see what that will literally drive you crazy. The biggest thing when it comes to setting up generational wealth for your children by way of investing in the stock market, because everything that I just shared with you guys, the 529, the UTMA account, all of that is by way of investing in the stock market, right? If you keep checking it every day, you will drive yourself crazy. And you will drive yourself crazy because there's going to be days that that account is red. There's going to be days when it's green, but then there's going to be days when that account is red. And let me tell y'all, a prime example is election day. Election day is literally one of the most volatile days that you're going to see in a stock market, y'all. And it's very volatile because people panic. You got people pulling out of, investments, all type of stuff. So like today is going to be volatile. Tomorrow might be even more volatile. The last thing that I'm doing is checking their investment accounts today. Like I'm not gonna do it. I'm not doing it. Because if you do it, you will literally get tempted and get caught up in the panic of selling stuff, selling investments, selling stocks before you should, investing in the wrong thing, like literally panicking just because the market is showing you that other people are panicking. So when you're building generational wealth, you got to have the patience not to panic. You got to have the faith, more importantly, not to panic. You got to have the prayer life, more importantly, not to panic, because it's tempting to panic in real estate investing. It's tempting to panic in stock market investing. And those are the top two things that you can do to build generational wealth for your children. I know a lot of people like to say, well, I got this business, I'm gonna pass down my business. I'm not really a big fan of just depending on that to build generational wealth, because what if your child does not want to go into that particular business? That's why the statistics show that the second generation, they typically grow the wealth, and a lot of times the third generation, they blow it, because you got families trying to pass down the same business for 4 and 5 generations, and that's the only means of building generational wealth. No, get your kids some investments so that they can decide what they want to do. Don't just say the only way to build generational wealth is you got to come and work in a family business. You got to come. Everybody don't want to do that. Like, I do not want my sons feeling like they got to do what their father does, feeling like they got to do what their mother does. Like, I don't want them feeling like that. The businesses that I want to pass down to them, I want to pass them down to them by way of the business is sold, and they're benefiting from the sale of the business. I want to pass it down to them by way of maybe they are behind the scenes, like chairs, of the business. They're getting paid in some type of way, but not pass it down where they have to be involved in the day-to-day operations. That's a burden. You know what I'm saying? So like you got to set up generational wealth and set it up properly for your family. So, lastly, let me recap really quick, because I know we got some people that have just joined us. Before I go into number 5, I want to recap. So, number 1 was you got to step outside of your comfort zone to actually learn about building generational wealth and obtain the knowledge. And then number 2 is consistently investing. Do not just put money in the investment account and leave it there. You got to pick the investments, and then you got to consistently invest. Number 3 is having an investing plan that works for you and your family. And number 4 is not constantly checking your accounts every day. It's going to drive you crazy. Okay. Number 5, last but certainly not least, the way that we have been able to do this, the way that we've been able to get our sons investment accounts to a certain amount in such a little bit of time is by picking the right investments, y'all. Again, picking the right investments, picking the right investments, picking heavy on the picking the right investments. Okay. Let me talk to y'all about our baby son. I know we've been more so talking about the older son, but I want to talk about the baby son for a second, because obviously, since he just turned 1, his accounts are a whole lot newer than our older son. But I told y'all that with our investing strategy, we start, very small. Like we don't just jump out the gate and be like, hey, let's invest, $5,000 a month, into, we start very small. The baby, his investment account, it is probably 70% of the money that is in his investment account is all compound interest. We just set up his investment account when he was 4 months old. He just got his investment accounts, and I don't know how I even did that. I think it's because around the time that, like, because you need to, like, if you're having a new baby, obviously you need their social security number, to get everything set up with like their investment accounts. But I feel like when we got his like social security number in the mail, like I think I did like set up the accounts, but with everything that happened immediately after, like the holidays and me being on maternity leave, I wasn't like immediately as consistent with us basically doing the investments like in a certain way, right? So I would say that we did not necessarily get consistent with setting up his investment accounts or investing consistently until he was about 4 months old. But for 70% of that, y'all, for 70%, I'm actually literally looking at their investment accounts now. For 70% of that to be solely from compound interest just in the last 9 months, that's a big deal. That's happening because you got somebody that is picking the right investments. And not, I don't mean to necessarily say compound interest, but basically from gains, right? 70% of that is literally from gains. 70% of that is literally from gains, you guys. That is a really, really, really big deal. You have to be able to pick the right investments. And I know a lot of people are like, but what if I don't know anything, about the stock market? What if I don't really know, how it works? Like, what if I don't really know like the investments to pick? This is why at the Proverbs 13:22 experience, I'm going to be going over what investments we actually are picking for our children's investment accounts. Okay. And I want to do this because let me just tell y'all, even though I enjoy, the world of business, like I am not one of those people that I don't really feel like watching, MSNBC all day. I don't feel like reading the Wall Street Journal. Like I don't feel like doing all of that stuff. I don't feel like doing all of that stuff. And because I don't feel like doing all of that stuff, I pick investments that I know are going to work for the long haul, whether I know what Elon Musk said today or whether I know what happened with Tesla or what Warren Buffett said or what, like I just don't have time in between like being in ministry, being a wife. Like I don't have time to be doing all of that. So picking the right investments is such a big deal. I'm looking at the numbers right now. I'm not going to tell my baby business um until exactly how much they got in their investment accounts. But what I will tell you guys is that my oldest son, one of just this is just one of his accounts. One of his accounts is up 37%. You do the math on that. One of his accounts is up 37% in gains. One of his accounts is up 37% in gains, y'all. I'm telling you, like, you gotta know how to pick the right investments. And this is going to be crucial for people that you feel like, well, I didn't immediately start. I didn't like, you cannot afford to not pick the right investments. Don't be out here and just saying, oh, I'm gonna get, my child an investment account and I'm gonna just go and I'm gonna buy up, a bunch of Tesla for the investment account because that's what I see everybody else talking about. That's what I see everybody else driving. You don't want to do that, and then you miss out on something that happens with Tesla, and the whole account gets blown because you were only dependent on Tesla for your come up. Like even like prime example, Amazon. I am definitely somebody that I believe in Amazon as a company. Like both my sons have Amazon investments, in their account, right? And it's done them good. And one of the reasons why I believe in Amazon as a company is because if I'm not ordering from Amazon, the neighbors is. You know what I'm saying? They making money. If I'm not ordering from Amazon, somebody is still buying a movie on Prime Video. Somebody is still they're still charging somebody's card for their monthly Prime subscription, right? So Amazon is constantly making money, they're constantly expanding. It's a good investment. But even though I believe in Amazon, I don't believe in no company enough to only have my stock account or my son's stock accounts be full of just Amazon investments. I don't. Period. Like absolutely not. So you definitely want to be smart. I think that some of the worst advice, and I hear people say this a lot, is they'll be like, invest in things that you like. Like I've heard a lot of financial experts say that, and I can't believe anybody with common sense will say that because it's like, for example, I might like certain designer brands, right? But that does not mean that it's a good investment. Like, don't sit up here and go and be like, oh, you know what? I love to shop at this department store. I love to shop at Saks. So let me go and see what's up with their, or I love to shop here. Like, no, don't go picking things that just like, no, like, don't go and be doing that. I see people do that. Oh, I was going to say, y'all, the Amazon truck just pulled up. It was the it was the post office van, but I was definitely going to swig my computer around to the window so y'all could see it in real time. But no, seriously, don't be one of those people that's going and you're like, oh, I'm just going to invest in this because I like this, I like that. Like, no, like you want to make smart investments, especially when it comes to investing for your children. Another area or another company that I see a lot of people like buy up specifically for their kids is they'll be like, "Oh, I bought, my kids Disney stock." And they'll say, "Oh, I bought them Disney stock because, they watch a lot of Disney, they like the Disney, they like this, they like that." At the end of the day, my son is not going to be mad at me because I did not pick I mean, my kids don't watch Disney, but you get the point. He not gonna be mad at me when he turns 21 because I didn't buy him no Disney stock. He gonna feel a way if he be like, why my parents ain't investing in something that really, really, really did numbers. And this is not me saying that Disney is not a good investment. But I think it's a bad investment if that's all you're invested in. I think anything is a bad investment if that's all you're investing in. That goes for Google, that goes for Amazon, that goes for Apple. Like, no, like take advantage of being able to use the variety that is offered in being able to build generational wealth. So you have to make sure that you are able to pick the right investments. You don't have to be no former Wall Street employee to pick the right investments. You don't have to be somebody that got an MBA. You don't got to be somebody that works in finance. At the Proverbs 13:22 experience, what I am doing is completely simplifying it. Again, I am completely simplifying it for you guys. So that's all I have to share with y'all for 5 things that we did to get our son's investment account to the point where at just 5 years old, he has enough money to invest in his first rental property if he wanted to, or he has enough money to be able to pay for his first year of college tuition. So, really quick before y'all go, I have another exciting announcement. I did not plan on doing this until a little bit later, probably until maybe up until like a couple weeks before the Proverbs 13:22 experience. But I really feel like the Lord is leaning on me to do this now so that people can get prepared. So we are going to offer virtual tickets to the Proverbs 13:22 experience. This is not a drill. You will be able to join us virtually. Again, this is not a drill. You will be able to join us virtually. Now, what I will say is that the in-person experience is always going to be better. I'm gonna just be honest and tell y'all that. Like, and it's a little bit better because now I keep looking out the window for an Amazon, Amazon truck, y'all. And I didn't even order nothing, y'all, but I keep looking out the window like, Lord, you gonna pull up with the Amazon truck. But anyway, we are going to make virtual tickets available for the Proverbs 13:22 experience. And let me tell y'all why I really want to do this. Like, to the point that I prayed about this. I prayed that God would release the opportunity to be able to do this. So I wanted to do this because I don't want anybody missing out on this. I don't want anybody using as an excuse like, oh, well, I bought my ticket, but I couldn't get a flight, or I bought my ticket and I wasn't able to pay for a hotel. I wasn't able to, do this. Like, This is going to alleviate all of that for you guys. Now, I have not shared with anybody else. I have not shared with my email list that we're going to be selling virtual tickets. A lot of people have asked, is it a possibility? Is it something that, we're going to do? But I have not shared this information with anybody. If you go to the website, there is not even a link on there where you could get, a virtual ticket. But what I am going to do today is I'm going to open up the link to get virtual tickets to the conference for just $99. Again, I'm going to open up the link to get virtual tickets to the conference for just $99. Now, let me say this. When I open this up to my email list, it is not going to be $99. And it's not going to be $99 because I really want to reach people with this particular conference that are not afraid to invest into themselves. Because if you're afraid to invest in yourself, guess what? You're not going to do nothing that you're learning at this conference. You're not going to open up a brokerage account. You're going to be scared to bust a move when it comes to building generational wealth. Like, I don't have time for nobody that's about to be acting scary. I don't got time. So I'm going to offer you guys the opportunity to get a virtual ticket for $99 today only. Again, I'm going to offer you guys the opportunity to get a virtual ticket today only for $99. So if you know people in your family that need to be there and they're like, girl, I don't know how I'm going to make this happen. Like, this is your chance. Like, this is their chance to get in the room, even though it's just virtually, but to get in the room and get the information that they need to build generational wealth. Like, y'all, I'm not going to say too much about this because I know that it's a lot going on. I'm sorry, I'm just like looking at this car outside. Because since our house is listed, everybody that pulls up, I be like, I know they're not finna walk up in here. Um, why you sitting there like that and just looking? Y'all, that's when the Baltimore be coming out because why you sitting there like that in front of the house? What y'all about to do? what y'all think about? Why y'all sitting there like that? But anyway, yeah, I do not want anybody to be able to miss out or to have to miss out on this conference. If you don't have $99, let's talk about it. If you do not have $99 today, you are more than welcome to utilize Klarna, or you're more than welcome to utilize Affirm. If you use Klarna, you can get your ticket, your virtual ticket, for as low as $25. Again, if you use Klarna, you can get your virtual ticket for as low as $25 today. Because I think you could do 4 installments of $25. Yes, the hotel has been released. Was released. Are you on the email list, sis? Did I send you a link for your ticket? Just text me because yeah, just text me. We are going to reach out to the for those of y'all that are attending in person. We are going to reach out to the hotel this week and see if we can get them to release some more rooms because I do believe that the room block is sold out. I think the room block is sold out, but we're going to see. Okay, 3 spot. I was going to say okay. Okay, because I haven't looked in a long time. Because I didn't even go and book the rooms that I need yet because I wanted to give the attendees a chance to get, their rooms. But no, if the hotel has been great. They have been super easy to work with. So I know if we go on there and say, I mean, if we call them up and say, hey, we need 5 more rooms, we need 10 more rooms, like I know that they're going to open up the opportunity, for us to be able to do that. So send me a text, Ariel, and then I'll make sure that you get the link. But for those of you that are attending virtually and you want to grab one of the $99 tickets, what you are going to do is text me and let's get this clear so nobody text the wrong thing. So what you're going to do so that I know what you're talking about is text Proverbs to me at 202-827-5261. Amen. Oh, they going across the street, y'all. I was still looking. I don't some people be watching my videos like, she be on here so turned. I really do. So don't be outside our house like that, sis. Okay, text Proverbs to me at 202-827-5261. Again, text Proverbs to me at 202-827-5261. This is for the $99 virtual tickets to the Proverbs 1322 experience. Now today is my anniversary, so I may not be able to like respond super quickly. But I will make sure that I get that link to you by some point today, because after midnight, I'm going to be sharing this information with my email list. And once I share the information with my email list, the tickets are going to be $199. So they're literally going to be double. So it's either, do you want to get your virtual seat for $99, or do you want to get your virtual seat for $199? So today only, you're going to be able to get in the room virtually for $99, you guys. Not technically one. Don't worry. We're gonna reach out because I knew that we were gonna need more rooms anyway. So if you look at it and it's nothing available, just let me know. And anybody else that's attending, I see a few people here that are attending in person. But if it's anybody else that is attending and you did not book your room yet, let me know, and we'll figure it out with the hotel to make more rooms be available. But I am excited. One of the reasons why I'm super excited about this Proverbs 1322 experience is because this is not just something where it's like, let me come and be inspired. Now, we are having a praise and worship session the night before on December the 9th, and then the actual conference is the 10th and the 11th. So it's going to be very encouraging. It's going to be very inspiring. But I am excited that on the 10th and the 11th, we are actually doing hands-on work to craft out your generational wealth plan. I'm talking about the brokerage accounts are being set up while you're there. I'm talking about it is being set up while you guys are there. We're not waiting. This is not no DIY type of situation. I don't want anybody to leave out of that room with more questions then they have answers. Okay. I don't want anybody to leave out of that room with more questions than they have execution. So please understand that this is not just the conference. This is very much an experience. This is an experience of us executing on building generational wealth together in real time. So again, if you're looking to get the virtual tickets, text me the word Proverbs to 202-827-5261, and I will get that link over to you guys. But in the meantime, have an amazing, amazing rest of your day, y'all, and I will talk to you guys soon.